In the deep silence of space, the remote outpost on the edge of the void sector was quiet, too quiet. The crew of Station Vega stared at their screens in disbelief. The steady hum of their instruments suddenly flickered, and a strange signal echoed through the station's communications array. It was faint, it's broken, but clear enough to make hearts race. A desperate call for help. Captain Harris leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Where is it coming from?" he asked. The technician's fingers flew over the console. Coordinates point to the planet Zoller, but that system is a dead zone. No ship has ever returned from there. Murmurs spread through the room. Void Sector was known for swallowing whole fleets without warning. No one ventured there unless they were lost or doomed, but this signal was different, was alive, pleading. "Send a reconnaissance ship," Captain Harris ordered. "Have to know if someone's still alive." Minutes later, the sleek scout vessel Falcon slipped out from the station, racing toward the source. Inside the Falcon, pilot Lieutenant Myra Reyes felt a chill run down her spine. "I don't like this," she said quietly. "Something's not right." The planet Zoller came into view, dark, scarred, and wrapped in swirling storms. The signal grew stronger, pulsing like a heartbeat. Suddenly, the Falcon sensors picked up movement, large shapes moving across the barren surface. "Contact!" Mira shouted. "Unknown life forms, multiple targets." Back on Station Vega, the monitors flickered, showing blurry images of massive armored figures. The Deathworlders had answered the signal, no. We knew if they were friend or foe. The mission had just begun. Nothing would ever be the same. The Falcon's engines hummed quietly as it entered Zoller's atmosphere. Outside the window, swirling gray clouds hid the planet's surface like a shroud. Lieutenant Myra Reyes gripped the controls tightly. Her eyes darted between the radar and the live feed from the ship's sensors. "We're getting closer," she said, voice steady, but tense. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. The radar lit up with dozens of fast-moving blips. "Multiple signals, Captain," the pilot called out. Back on Station Vega, Captain Harris frowned. "What are they?" Myra's fingers hovered over the controls. "I'm not sure, but they're big, moving fast, something unnatural." As the Falcon dropped below the clouds, the landscape came into view, a harsh, rocky desert covered with jagged cliffs and deep craters. The air was thick and heavy, full of a strange glowing mist. On the ground, shadowy figures moved with silent speed. They were tall, their bodies covered with thick armor that pulsed with red light. Their faces were hidden beneath helmets, but their eyes glowed fiercely. The Deathworlders. Myra's heart pounded. These warriors were legends, survivors from a brutal planet where only the strongest lived. Their arrival here was no accident. Suddenly, the Falcon's cum crackled. "This is Captain Harris," the voice said urgently. "Lieutenant Reyes, you must be careful. We don't know what the Deathworlders want." Mira nodded, though Harris could not see her. "Understood, Captain. I'm going in." The Falcon hovered over a plateau. Below, a group of Deathworlders gathered around a strange device that hummed with energy. It looked ancient, covered in glowing symbols and cracked by time. Mira zoomed in with the cameras. The device pulsed like a heartbeat, and the ground trembled beneath it. Before she could react, one of the Deathworlders looked up. His glowing eyes locked on the Falcon's camera, and Mira felt a cold chill. "They know we are here," she whispered suddenly. The Deathworlders raised their weapons. The air exploded with a sudden blast of energy, and the Falcon shook violently. "Evasive maneuvers," Mira shouted, pulling the controls hard. The mission had just become deadly. The sky over Zolar burned orange as the twin suns began to set, casting long shadows over the rocky plains. The battlefield had quieted, but the air was thick with tension. The humans and Deathworlders gathered around the pulsing bloodstone. Artifact, its glow casting eerie light on their faces, Captain Harris paced nervously. "We need a plan. That device is unstable. If we can't shut it down, it could rip this planet apart." Dr. Maya Collins studied her instruments, brow furrowed. "I've found a way to disrupt the energy flow, but it requires someone to physically reach the core and manually deactivate the artifact. The Deathworlders exchanged looks. Karos stepped forward, his voice low and steady. "I will go." Alina Carter said sharply, "It's too dangerous." Karos met her gaze. "Danger is my home. I've faced worse." The team prepared for the mission, but unknown to them, one of their own moved in shadow. Lieutenant Marcus Lee had changed. The strain of the battle and the Bloodstone's power had awakened something darker inside him. As the group moved toward the artifact, Marcus slipped away, communicating secretly with a hidden figure over an encrypted channel. "I have the coordinates," Marcus whispered. "The Bloodstone's power will be ours." Back with the team, Karos led the way across a narrow bridge of cracked stone, the artifact's hum growing louder. Every step was a test of courage. Suddenly an explosion rocked the area. The ground beneath them shook violently, and debris rained down. Karos barely caught Maya as she stumbled. "Sabotage," he growled from the shadows. Rebels loyal to Thrax the Deathworlder, who opposed the alliance, emerged. Their eyes burning with hatred, Marcus revealed himself, weapon raised. "I'm sorry," he said coldly, "but the Bloodstones. Power belongs to us." The team was betrayed. Gunfire and energy blasts tore through the air as friend turned against friend. Alina shouted orders, trying to hold the group together. "Fall back. Protect the scientist," she commanded. Karos charged into the fray, swinging his massive axe, cutting down traitors with brutal efficiency. Maya frantically worked to protect her instruments, knowing that if the artifact was damaged in the wrong way, it could trigger a catastrophic chain reaction. Amid the chaos, the Bloodstone artifact flared wildly, its energy surging. "Alina, get to the Falcon," Harris ordered. "We need to regroup." The survivors scrambled back, but Marcus and the rebels pressed forward, their ambition fueled by the dangerous power of the Bloodstone. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the Bloodstone pulsed brighter, a dark heart beating faster and faster. The mission to save the planet is now a desperate fight for survival. Night fell over Zalor, turning the rocky landscape into shadows and strange shapes. The twin moons cast a cold light over the battlefield. The Bloodstone artifact glowed brighter than ever, its energy pulsating like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Captain Harris, Lena Carter, Karos, and the remaining team gathered near the Falcon, catching their breath. The air was thick with tension, fear, and the distant echoes of battle. Maya Collins checked her readings again. The Bloodstone isn't just unstable, it's alive. It feeds on conflict and pain. The more chaos around it, the stronger it becomes. Karos clenched his fists. "Then we must end this fight quickly, or it will destroy us all." But the team was broken. The betrayal of Marcus Lee had shaken their trust, and the rebels had vanished into the darkness with their prize plans. To control the Bloodstone's power for themselves? "We have no choice, Captain," Harris said grimly. "We must find the rebels and stop them before they unleash the Bloodstone's full power." The team prepared to track the rebels deep into the caves beneath the Bloodstone site. The caves were treacherous, narrow tunnels, sharp rocks, and eerie echoes that made every step feel like a trap as they moved deeper underground. The walls began to glow faintly with strange symbols, ancient markings from a civilization long gone. Maya studied the symbols. These tell a story. The Bloodstone was created to protect the planet from an even greater evil. Something sealed beneath the surface. Karos's eyes widened. If the rebels released that evil, it could mean the end of all life here. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A deep, low growl echoed through the tunnels. The team froze. From the darkness emerged a massive creature, a shadowy beast with glowing eyes and claws like blades. It was the Ancient Guardian. Awakened by the Bloodstone's disturbance, the creature charged. Alina fired her pulse rifle, but the shots barely scratched the beast's thick hide. Karos roared and leaped forward, his axe glowing with energy as he struck. The battle was fierce and desperate. The creature's strength was unlike anything they had faced. It seemed to feed on the Bloodstone's energy too. Maya shouted, "We have to reach the core and shut down the artifact." "It's the only way to stop this nightmare. With Karos and the soldiers holding back the beast, Maya and Captain Harris raced deeper into the caves. Following the glowing symbols to the Bloodstone's heart, time was running out. The artifact's energy pulsed wildly, the ground shaking. With every beat, suddenly the rebels appeared, blocking their path. Marcus Lee stood at the front, his eyes cold and full of power. "You won't stop what's coming," he said. "The Bloodstone belongs to us now." The final battle for control of the Bloodstone and the fate of Zoller was about to begin. Deep within the twisting tunnels beneath Zoller, the air was thick with heat and the electric hum of the Bloodstone's power. Captain Harris, Dr. Maya Collins, and Karos stood face to face with Marcus Lee and his rebel followers. The glowing artifact pulsed behind them like a beating heart, dangerous, unstable, and alive. Marcus's voice was cold and sharp. "This power is ours. With it, we will control the galaxy, not just survive." Karos stepped forward, his massive axe crackling with red energy. "You betray all you stand for, Marcus. This weapon is too dangerous for anyone to control." Marcus sneered. "Then you will fall." Suddenly, the rebels attacked. Energy blasts tore through the cave, lighting the darkness with bursts of fire and sparks. The humans and Deathworlders fought back fiercely, but the rebels were desperate and ruthless. Maya grabbed her tools, desperately working to find a way to shut down the Bloodstone. "I need time. Cover me." Karos roared and swung his axe, cutting down enemies with brutal force. Captain Harris fired his plasma rifle, taking down attackers before they could get close. The ancient guardian beast from earlier circled the battlefield, roaring in rage. It lashed out, striking both rebels and allies alike, feeding off the chaos. Amid the battle, Maya found the Bloodstone's core, a glowing crystal surrounded by complex machinery. She worked quickly, sweat dripping down her face. "Almost there," she muttered, but Marcus wasn't finished. He charged toward her, weapon raised. Karos intercepted him with a powerful strike. The two clashed, shaking the ground beneath them. Captain Harris shouted, "Maya now." With a final twist, Maya pressed a sequence on the control panel. The Bloodstone's glow faltered, then dimmed. A shockwave rippled through the cave. The guardian beast howled in fury and then collapsed, its energy drained. The rebels staggered, their power fading. Marcus fell to his knees. Defeated but alive, the Bloodstone's heartbeat slowed, then stopped. The cave fell silent. Karos looked around at the exhausted survivors. "The danger's over." "For now," Captain Harris nodded. "But we've only just begun to understand this power. We must protect it or risk losing everything." Maya gazed at the dormant artifact, knowing this was just the start of a new journey, one where survival would depend on courage, trust, and the fight against darkness itself. The cave was silent now. The Bloodstone artifact lay dormant. Its eerie glow faded to a soft pulse, like a slow breath. Outside, the twin moons of Zoller hung low in the sky. Casting pale light on the weary faces of the survivors, Captain Harris leaned on his rifle, exhaustion heavy in his bones. Round him, the soldiers and Deathworlders caught their breath, their eyes watching the strange landscape, a planet forever changed by what had happened. Karos, the fierce Deathworlder warrior, stood tall beside. "Harris, the Bloodstone is sealed once more. But it is not destroyed. Its power remains waiting." Maya Collins carefully packed her instruments, her mind racing with questions and possibilities. "This artifact is a force beyond anything we've seen. It's not just a weapon, it's a key. It's a key to something much larger." Lena Carter approached, her face serious. "We answered a desperate call for help and awoke a danger none of us fully understood." Marcus Lee, now a prisoner, sat apart, his face shadowed with regret and bitterness. "I thought I could control it. I was wrong." Captain Harris looked out at the horizon. "Our mission started as a rescue, but it became a battle for survival, a fight to protect the galaxy from a power no one should ever wield." The Deathworlders gathered around the Bloodstone, their glowing eyes reflecting its fading light. Karos spoke softly, We are bound to this planet and its secrets. We will guard it no matter the cost. Mira Reyes, the young pilot who first landed on Zoller, smiled faintly. We thought we were alone out here, but we were wrong. And now, we have allies, even in the darkest places. As the Falcon prepared to leave, the team looked back once more. Zoller was no longer just a dead world, it was a battlefield, a mystery, and a warning. The galaxy had heard the desperate signal, and those who answered would never be the same. Captain Harris turned to his crew, voice firm. This is just the beginning. The universe is bigger and darker than we ever imagined. The Falcon rose into the night sky, leaving Zoller behind, but carrying with it the weight of what had been discovered and the promise of what must come next. The Falcon shuddered under the sudden blast. Mira fought to keep control as alarms blared through the cockpit. Shields at 50%, she yelled, eyes fixed on the erratic movements below. The Deathworlders were faster and stronger than any enemy the crew had faced before. Their red glowing armor was nearly impenetrable, and their weapons fired bolts of energy that left scorch marks across the rocky landscape. Prepare for landing, Captain Harris ordered from Station Vega. We need boots on that ground. Find out what's really going on. Mira nodded, her hands steady despite the chaos. Landing sequence initiated. The Falcon descended carefully, settling on a cracked plateau surrounded by jagged rocks. Outside, the landscape was harsh and silent, except for the low hum of the strange device the Deathworlders guarded. Suddenly, movement at the edge of the plateau. Human soldiers appeared, wearing advanced armor and carrying high-tech rifles. They looked exhausted and wary. Lieutenant Marcus Lee stepped forward, his eyes scanning the horizon. Captain Harris sent us to assist. We don't know what's happening here, but we're ready. Myra opened the ship's ramp. The Deathworlders watched silently, their glowing eyes unblinking. Let's keep our guard up, Marcus said quietly. They may have answered the call for help, but we don't know if they're friends or enemies. As the two groups approached, the mysterious device, Dr. Maya Collins arrived with her scientific team. She studied the artifact with growing unease. This is Bloodstone technology, she said. It's powerful, but unstable. It could destroy the entire planet if it's not controlled. Suddenly, the device pulsed wildly, sending out a shockwave that knocked everyone off their feet. The Deathworlders roared, rushing to protect the device. But Marcus's team was ready. Energy shields flared to life. The fragile alliance teetered. On the edge of collapse, Mira looked up at the darkening sky. If we can't control this power, it will control us and destroy everything. In the shadows, unknown enemies watched. The signal had drawn more than just Deathworlders. Something ancient and deadly was waking. The shock wave from the Bloodstone device faded, but its effects lingered. The ground trembled beneath the feet of the humans and Deathworlders alike, while dust rose in swirling clouds and strange eerie lights. Flickered over the rocky terrain, Dr. Maya Collins hurried to her equipment, her face pale but determined. The energy from this artifact is unlike anything we've seen. It's alive, almost, aware. Captain Harris exchanged a worried glance with Karos, the Deathworlder warlord who had stepped forward to speak. Karos's deep voice rumbled. This power can heal worlds, or destroy them. The Bloodstone has been our burden for generations. Lieutenant Marcus Lee tightened his grip on his rifle. Why did you answer the call for help then? Why come here now? Karos's eyes glowed faintly. Because the signal was different, filled with pain and fear. It woke something inside us, a call for survival, even for Deathworlders. The uneasy alliance tried to calm the situation, but tension grew. Some Deathworlders stayed silent, their faces hidden behind helmets. Their loyalty was uncertain. Meanwhile, the humans began scanning the area. Suddenly, the sensors detected movement beyond the cliffs fast, shadowy figures darting through the rocks. Maya's voice shook. Those are not Deathworlders. Something else is here. Something worse. The strange creatures appeared, their forms shifting like smoke, but solid enough to strike. They attacked without warning, their claws glowing with dark energy. The battle erupted again, but this time the enemy was unseen, moving like ghosts. Elena Carter, Special Forces commander recently arrived as reinforcements, shouted orders. Form up. Don't let them surround us. Karos growled and swung his massive axe, cutting through the misty attackers with brutal strength. The Deathworlders fought fiercely. Even they struggled against the shadow creatures. Amid the chaos, Maya yelled, "The Bloodstone artifact is reacting. It's feeding on the fight, growing stronger." Captain Harris shouted into his cum. "We have to get that device offline, or it will destroy us all." As the battle raged, a chilling thought struck Alina. What if the signal wasn't a call for help? But a trap. The wind howled. The planet seemed to hold its breath. Somewhere deep underground, the Bloodstone pulsed like a dark heart, waiting.